We have been doing planted aquariums a lot, and we use TC culture or tissue plants as we normally call it in India. And I have personally received a lot of queries on that these plants melt after they are put in the soil, and the stability of it takes a lot of time. Some does well, some doesn't do well. So I thought that why not do a video where we're going to talk about some tips, some good practices that one needs to follow if you want to get success with these plants. Okay. Um, First, I'm going to talk about water hardness, the parameter, the water parameters, right? Next, I'm going to talk about carbon dioxide. And then, if your plants have already started melting, what you can really do to recover them. These are the three topics. But then, please understand this is a vast topic. There is a lot of interplay with light, the type of plants, the soil that you use. So, we'll continue with this topic. But for this video, I'm going to concentrate on three things which will help you with good success with your tissue plants. Number one, water hardness. Second, CO2. Third, if the plants have already started melting, what you can do to recover them, right? The first point, as I said, that we are going to talk about is the water parameter, right? You can see a very beautiful Iagumi layout behind my back. It's a classical Iagumi with a bed of HC, okay? Then you have got certain accent plant in the form of Elocharis acicularis. In fact, we have also used some Ricardia chemidifloria. Now all plants are doing very beautifully, okay? This is just a 3-month-old tank, and we have used TC plants like this, okay? We have not used pot plants. A very important factor that you need to keep in mind is that all of these plants comes from a very soft and acidic environment. Most of the aquatic plants comes from an acidic environment. So the water that you are going to use, ideally the pH of water, the acidic indicator of water should be between 6.8 to 7, right? Many of us who are from Calcutta and the adjoining areas, at least I can talk about Eastern India from where I come, okay, we use tap water, many of us, okay, and the tap water is extremely hard. So one is pH, the other is hardness, okay. In many cases I have seen borewell water being used in taps, and the hardness can even go up to 500 ppm. Believe me, trust me, whether it is TC plants or any plant, any aquatic plant will not survive in such hard water. So try and keep the hardness of water between 75 to 100 ppm. Some of the aquatic plants like Cryptocoryne pink panther, okay, or this little downoi, okay, these plants requires hard water. There you can take up the hardness to about 150 ppm, okay. But definitely any water, any tap water, if it is very high or very hard, these plants will not do well. So please do keep in mind, keep a test kit handy, test out the water parameter, whether your water is suitable to grow these plants or not. That's very, very important. The second point that I am going to talk about is CO2. We all know that CO2 is definitely one of the must to get success in planted aquarium. But what happens and what sometimes gets overlooked is the hardscape of it. We believe that we are using soft water, okay, but you have to pay attention to the hardscape. The reason being, if you look at this tank, it is growing very well, and I'll give you an example of another tank in our gallery itself. The plants are doing very well, okay. We are using the same water in both tanks, but we just now measured the water. The general hardness of this tank at this moment, GH, is 5, and carbonate hardness is 2, okay, 2 degrees rather. Now this carbonate hardness is a very important parameter to ensure that CO2 gets mixed. Simply put, if your carbonate hardness is high, CO2 will not mix even if you give a lot of CO2. First is that definitely for TC plants you need to give a lot of CO2 because they need the CO2 to get acclimatized. But if you are using a hardscape like the other tank that we are using, where we are using Cereus stones, right, where the same parameters for the same water which we are using, the GH is 7 degrees and carbonate hardness is 5 degrees. Now if your carbonate hardness is so high, so this is 2 degrees, that is 5 degrees, okay. And I am giving same CO2, same water, CO2 will not get mixed in the Cereus stone tank. If the CO2 is not getting mixed, means what? Plants will not get carbon, plants will get weak, plants will melt, and also algae will come, right? So you can make out the difference. Same water, only the hardscape is different. Okay, here we are using Hakai stone, which is a pure volcanic stone. There we are using Cerio stone. Cerio stone is increasing the hardness, so carbonate hardness is going up. Here carbonate hardness is not going up. Same CO2, so photosynthesis is happening much better in this tank rather than that tank. You can still see the pearling happening, okay, in this tank, whereas pearling is kind of not so much in the other tank. So you must keep in mind that the hardscape that you are using, whether that hardscape is going to increase the hardness of water or not, is also very important to keep in mind. So be very careful while you select the hardness. If you go for stones like Cerio stones, which has got high calcium content, which is known to increase the hardness of water, then you definitely have to give more CO2, otherwise your plants will definitely melt. Now I'll come to the third point. Even after you have taken care of everything, assume that the plants have started melting. Now do remember the stem plants, okay, we have seen this happening mainly with the stem plants. So even in the TC cups, the plants are in an immersed state, okay. So when you put the plants in, the immersed leaves are bound to melt because they have not been acclimatized to grow underwater. So they are going to melt, okay. And this is particularly true for stem plants. So what you should do in that case is that you will see that the top part of the plant is doing well, okay. It's giving color also. Cut those top plants, give that effort, do a siphoning, take out the molten portion, okay. Take out the roots from the soil, plant the good portion from the top. More often than not, we have seen that the plant starts doing well because the top portion is already acclimatized underwater and it starts growing well, okay. So if a TC plant has already started melting, don't continue with it. Cut the top parts of the plants, clean the bottom, give that effort, put in the top plant. I'm sure the plants will bounce back, okay, rebound back rather, okay. That's another tip. Now friends, these are the three things that I talked about, but there are many other factors which can also contribute to plants melting. These are the three most important points that I talked. Water temperature also plays an important role. What kind of light you are going to use, that also plays a different role, but then that is a topic of other video. For this video, let's concentrate on these 3 points. I hope that this content, you will find it as a useful one. And as I request always, please do subscribe to the channel Ripple's Nature Inspired Aquarium. And if you find the content useful, do spread it among your fellow hobbyists. Maybe they can also get benefited from whatever knowledge we are trying to share here. Thank you. Thanks a lot, friend. Thanks for watching.